were launched within the next few months, the whole region would flare up from the eastern Mediterranean right through to the Chinese border.
And we know all too well, unfortunately, how wider wars are kicked off with catalyzing catastrophic events that are usually pretty fishy. And they have the fingerprints of intelligence networks and the whiff of false flag activities. So with all these terror drills and Vigilant Eagle and joint U.S.-Russian terror drills and just wrapping with Korean drills and the Cambodian drills and all of these military exercises, again, provide the theater, if you will, and of course they call it theater. It's no accident. That's the stage on which these events spring forward and, of course, fast forward the agenda of the Western finance oligarchs and the elites who owe no allegiance to any country or flag. But, of course, they keep us in those boxes and keep us all rabbled up. But I digress. On down the news purge list, let's get a couple holy hexes. And we've referenced this the last couple of weeks. This is the last bit I know about it. And again, it still sources back, I believe, to the Press Democrat. Seem to be the only place covering this year's Bohemian Grove. Schwarzenegger and Murdoch speaking at Bohemian Grove. I don't believe anyone's gotten any footage or recordings or photos or anything, but we can probably be pretty sure that Schwarzenegger was wearing his Skull and Bones belt buckle. The other holy hex note, Indiana teens were high on LSD as they pledged to burn down the Satanic Church. More on that from the IndieChannel.com. Again, holy hexes being a new subheading for us here as we throw in all the bizarre occult activities going down. But as we get to media and memes, I just see on Google News this morning on August 6th something we'll throw into the mix. Naomi Campbell's blood diamonds found. Jeremy Ratcliffe, the South African who once directed Nelson Mandela's children's charity, has confirmed that he received 3 uncut diamonds from supermodel Naomi Campbell in 1997. I did see some links to some of the videos of Naomi Campbell's testimony, which were making the rounds yesterday, and of course folks pointing to her all-seeing eye pendant on her necklace. We also have, interestingly enough, by way of newsjunkiepost.com, according to several reports and a Haitian official, singer Wyclef Jean will indeed run for the presidency of Haiti in the upcoming November elections. Haiti has been under the government of René Préval since 2006. Jean will make a formal announcement this week on CNN. Why not on Facebook? Jean is perhaps the most well-known Haitian artist in the world, and he has been able to use his fame to highlight the poverty and deplorable conditions of his people. Soon after the January 12, 2010 earthquake, Jean led a campaign to collect funds to help Haitians through his charity, Yella Haiti. Art imitates life, imitates politics, more and more and more. A quick note from Big Hollywood on the new Will Ferrell, Mark Wahlberg movie, The Other Guys, and I've seen this pop up in several places, conservative sites first, and then even in our own local city papers, Portland Mercury, Willamette Week. How not to end a comedy. Apparently this buddy cop movie, The Other Guys, ends with some bizarre, seemingly non sequitur run of financial news. And it's all fairly truthful, hardcore stuff that somebody said would look like it would be out of a Michael Moore film. It's highly appropriate in that it's correct and timely information. However, it just seems like it was tagged on to the end of this film for no apparent reason. We also have a link to technicult.net where there's an interview and a little bit of a preview of the upcoming documentary about, what do you call him? He's not just a comic writer. The one and only Grant Morrison of The Invisibles and so much more. There's a documentary coming out about him very soon. So again, more on that from technicult.net. I believe it's called Speaking with Gods. And down at the bottom of our news purge list here, my friends, it's the Oregon oddities. And yes, we have followed this story from week to week, and this looks like the end of it. Again, everything wraps up quite nicely. Nothing to see here. Law enforcement officials in Portland, Oregon have concluded that there is insufficient evidence to proceed with a criminal prosecution of former Vice President Al Gore after a massage therapist accused him of sexually assaulting her in a 2006 incident just a few blocks away from where I live. Oh, geez. Unfortunately, but again, that's why we do this. We like to see the bizarre memes and signs and semiotics of all of it. We don't claim here that the Illuminati is behind every little single thing that happens, but a lot of times we just gotta say sinister forces. Bay Area band frontman dead in a tour van crash, but more specifically, the lead singer of the band Early Graves was killed in an Oregon bus crash. And the last Oregon oddity note, this one is blowing up. Portland lemonade stand runs into health inspectors, needs a $120 license to operate. It appears as though on every level, they're ringing us out. And this is something that we briefly discuss on the latest episode of newworldnextweek.com. Debtor's prison, all of these things we're going to see more aggressively come back. Why do you think they've now spent a bunch of money arming IRS agents? They're going to get every little dirty penny they can. Again, all built on zeros and ones and sold to us at interest. And again, we never look behind the curtain. Hopefully more of that is happening now. And it's hard, and I've said it a million times, I'm not the picture of health. I'm not the perfect guy. I'm not the guy to be your leader. And I don't try and run a show where we say, this guy's the best and I like this guy, or this guy's an agent, or any of that infighting garbage. No time for it here. But this is what it's about. Before we jump to police state updates, as I lose my train of thought, I want to remind you again, because I'm over there right now, that you can get in the chat room on zeropointradio.com anytime. And again, I always thank those guys as being sort of like co-pilots. Again, all through this virtual world, with thanks to praradio.org and all the folks out there who help make this happen. It's pretty amazing. And I don't take any of this for granted. Police state updates, innocent people and violent crowds. We're going to first mention another great piece on activistpost.com on the ultimate betrayal, police and military working together to oppress us. That would be the U.S., the big U.S. It was called Posse Comitatus. Remember, the military isn't supposed to do law enforcement. But all that's pretty much been obliterated in the fog of war, in the fog of the global war of terror, and the Patriot Act that, of course, our new Change-Alleluia Obama-Messiah just keeps extending. So, in reference to that, here's an interesting one. H.R. 5910 to amend the Homeland Security Act of 2002 to authorize the Secretary of Homeland Security to issue rules that designate no-fly zones in the vicinity of certain nuclear plants and for other purposes. You gotta love that. And for other purposes. We see a lot of prep on a lot of different levels. And again, on this show, we don't try and predict and say, oh, it's going to happen then. Oh, martial law is coming then. Never quite works out that way. But we like, again, to look at the signs and the symbols and put some speculation on the record. And again, we try not to be conspiracy theorists. We try and be conspiracy facts. Fact checkers, fact searchers, doing the data mining. And that's what we try and do for you on MediaMonarchy.com.